Alright, so continuing with this is kind of the third part here, where I was talking about the Drake equation and how we thought that there is a possibility, if we take an optimistic view, that there may be extraterrestrials out there. Alright, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Enrico Fermi, brilliant physicist, said, you know what? There should be that many intelligent civilizations in the observable universe. But why haven't we seen any sign of them? So where is everyone? That comes down to the question that's often asked. Where is everyone? If there really are this many people, why don't we see some signs of it? So this is SETI, or the search for this, is what we're going to talk about. This is the Drake equation. Again, this is what I was talking about before. It's slightly different way it's developed, and they use slightly different numbers, but the idea is exactly the same thing. The number of advanced civilizations that we could communicate with is really what matters. Okay, and they come up with slightly different numbers. Their pessimistic view is very, very tiny, and their optimistic view is slightly smaller too. But it's still possible if they were in the right one. All right, this is kind of complicated, but one of the things they started thinking about with SETI is like, let's listen for radio waves. Well, where would you listen for radio waves? What frequency are you going to listen to? Well, what you have to think about is, where would they transmit, and where is that transmission not going to get absorbed by other stuff? So here is, you see this black line, this is the background, microwave background. So it causes noise. And these are oxygen and water molecules within our atmosphere, okay, the atmospheric emission right here. And then this is the galactic background. So over here, the signals wouldn't get through. We couldn't actually get them, the noise would wipe them out. So our best bet is to look in this range right here. So that's where they started searching for extraterrestrials, was in that range. And so they started using dishes, and they started to listen at random stars in the sky. And at first it was very, pick one star, listen for a while, pick another one. And it was a very slow process, and they really didn't get anything too significant at all. Now they've gotten more sophisticated. Now they've built an array. This is in Northern California. Not really northern, but northern-ish, not far north. This is called the Allen Telescope Array. I don't know if you know Paul Allen. He was a founder of Microsoft with Bill Gates. So by the time he was like 30-some years old, he was filthy rich and retired, and he actually bought the Seattle Supersonics or the Portland Trailblazers, or bought one of the sports teams. But he also donated money to build this array of telescopes. And they want to get 350 dishes. They currently have 42 of them that are working. They're going to put them all out there, and that way they can listen all over the sky at all different frequencies, all simultaneously. And their whole goal is just to search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So far, they haven't found any. This is what they call SETI at home. One of the challenges they have is when you have all these radio telescopes, and all these radio telescopes are listening to the sky at millions of frequencies simultaneously, is it takes a lot of computing power to try to sort through all that noise, to try to determine if there's any signal that's not random that may be coming from a civilization. So they thought, well, you know, one way to do this would be to have everybody that wants to help us out. So they have this thing, it's called SETI at Home, where you download an application, and when your computer goes into its sleep mode, then the SETI at Home program starts to work, and it will download data from the internet, from these telescope arrays, and it'll search for it. And so the idea is, well, if we have thousands of people's computers, doesn't hurt the people that are working, because when you're working it doesn't work. It only works when it's in sleep mode. Then it's a way to have thousands of computers searching through the signals all at the same time. So if you want to participate, just go to the SETI at Home, search for that on the Google app, and you can install it on your computer. The cool thing about it is it'll do it for a while, and then every month it'll send you reports on what you've done and what you found. Even with all this, they still have not found any extraterrestrial intelligences yet. All right. So, where are we in our state for that? Well, yes, you say, why is he putting a pornographic picture? This is not a pornographic picture. This is actually a gold plaque that was put on the side of Pioneer 10 and 11. Because even back then, this was launched back in the 1970s, mid-1970s, and this is to show, or they thought, well, you know, maybe millions, hundreds of millions of years down the road, this spacecraft is going to just keep flying off forever. It may someday end up by another star, and some other civilization may find this spacecraft. What do we want them to know about us? And so this is all in code here, but you could figure it out. This is our solar system. This is the sun. These are the planets right here. This shows that our spacecraft, because they can tell it's a spacecraft by the shape of it, right, was launched from the Earth, flew past Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, and then went flying off out into space. Okay? You see back here, this is the spacecraft in the background here, and they show that we have, humans, we have two sexes. You never know, aliens might have more or less than that. And basically what they look like. What this up here is, this shows the bonding of a hydrogen atom to show that we understand chemistry. Okay. Now the most interesting thing is this right here. You're like, what is this? Well, remember we talked about pulsars? Pulsars are the remains of a supernova, a neutron star. But that neutron star is spinning so fast it sends out pulses, magnetic pulses that you can measure with a radio telescope. Well, each pulsar has a very unique signature, like their own fingerprint. And so they're all sending out these blips, beep, 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 beep. But if you know the signature of each of them, that's what this is right here. This says this pulsar has this signal, this pulsar has this signal. So they listen, they know where the pulsars are out in space. They say, oh, that's that pulsar, that one, that one. They can draw the lines all back. They can figure out exactly where the Earth was when this was launched back in the 1970s. All right, so then they decided they were going to launch Voyager 1 and 2, which is even more sophisticated. Instead of just launching a gold plate on the side of it like they did there, they put a gold record. And the gold record, this shows them how to make a device to read the record. It's like an old record LP where you have a groove that goes all the way around. In this case, it's just bumps, and the bumps are ones and zeros, so it's all binary. But on there, they encoded pictures, sounds like hello in 100 different languages, different music from like Beatles to Beethoven and all kinds of stuff in between. Pictures, people, not just two humans without clothes, which got a lot of people upset. They have pictures of people in all stages, from babies up to old people. They have animals. Pretty much, it's kind of like an encyclopedia of the Earth. But they still have this right here, which shows the pulsars and where the Earth can be found when this was launched. This is on Voyager 1 and 2. So currently, we have 4 spacecraft that are flying out of the solar system, heading deep into space. Pioneer 10, 11, Voyagers 1 and 2. Of these spacecraft, none of them is going to get anywhere close to the nearest star for about 50,000 years. And even then, the odds of it getting close enough that somebody could see it or find it is probably very small, and might be millions or billions of years if it ever happens at all. But it's an interesting idea that they were doing this way back in the 70s, thinking, you know, it is possible somebody might find this someday. All right, that's all I have for SETI. Currently, as far as we know, SETI has still not found a extraterrestrial intelligence. If you want to watch a good movie about it, watch the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. Great movie, pretty well done.